So we would like to get Miss Rita. Is Rita ready? Yes, good evening, Miss Rita. Um, yes, I know it's been a very challenging day for you out there, and I'm so sorry for all the challenges you've been having trying to connect to us due to technique. But that's the way it is, and we're already used to here on the Pan African Daily TV with these challenges. But thank God you are here, and we would like to give you the floor. And I think your topic would be about the importance of owning a media platform, um, just like the Pan African Daily TV in Canada and worldwide. So over to you, Rita. We want to start by knowing who you are, what you do out there, how long you've been there, and the relevance of this topic on this particular agenda of Now is the Time. Over to you, Rita.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you, Dr. Suzanne, so much for this opportunity. I'm so glad to be here. So today we are celebrating the UN International Decade for People of African Descent. And yes, I'll be speaking about why we need to expand our media platforms like TV stations all over the world. My name is Rita Margaret Buwule. I'm an IT by profession, a master's degree from Makerere University. I specialized in networks and system security at the University of British Columbia here in Canada. And currently I work for the Government of Canada as a technical support coordinator. And this is an insurance ministry. So before I go further into my discussion, I would like to read a statement from the UN International Decade for People of African Descent, and it's from here that I'll base my discussion. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here tonight and giving us your time to listen. So according to UN, there are around 200 million people identifying themselves as being African descent, and they live in the Americas. Many million more people live in other parts of the world outside the African continent. Whether as descendants of victims of the transatlantic slave trade or as more recent immigrants, they constitute some of the poorest and marginalized groups. Now, studies and findings by the international and national bodies demonstrate that the people of African descent still have limited access to quality education, health services, housing, and social security. Now, in many cases, the UN goes on to say, in many cases, their situation remains largely invisible, and insufficient recognition and respect has been given to the efforts of people of African descent to seek redress to their present conditions. They often experience discrimination in their access to justice and face alarming high rates of police violence together with racial profiling. Furthermore, their degree of political participation is often low, both in voting and in occupying political positions. In addition, people of African descent can suffer from multiple aggravated and intersecting forms of discrimination based on other related grounds such as age, sex, language, religion, political and other opinions, social origin, property, disability, birth, or other statuses. Now, the promotion and protection of human rights of people of African descent has been a priority concern for the United Nations. The Durban Declaration and Program of Action acknowledge that people of African descent were victims of slavery the slave trade and colonialism, and continue to be victims of their consequences. The Durban process raised the visibility of people of African descent and contributed to a substantive advancement in the promotion and protection of their rights. As a result of concrete actions taken by the states, the United Nations, and other international and regional bodies and civil societies. Still, despite these advances, racism and racial discrimination, both direct and indirect, de facto and de jure, continue to manifest themselves in inequality and disadvantage. Now, having said that, imagine 200 million people identifying themselves as being of African descent in the Americas, and of course, as many millions living in other parts of the world, with hardly no televisions, like programs for people of African descent, such as the Pan-African Daily TV, to express their interest, to express their concerns. You can see that there are so many issues happening to the people of African descent all over the world, such as police brutality. Even a kid knows what happened to George Floyd. What can we do about this? How can we end these evils? How can we end these differences? How can we end these inequalities? Of course, now those stories that we see in the media only are shown for those that have the chance to be heard, the chance to be seen. What about those hundreds and thousands of people that face these injustices every day, but do not have such opportunities? Don't their lives matter? What can we do about that? What is going on wrong? What can we be doing different? Now, to end such undesirable acts and the evil silences that continue in our communities, I suggest is to have as many media platforms as we can. Just like the Pan-African TV that is uniting all of us from the different places of the world, meeting together here in Germany, where it is best. Now, we all know, of course, CNN, Al Jazeera, Fox TV, to mention but a few. And most of us, of course, watch them because they are very popular, right? Would you not want to have such TV stations or media platforms that belong to the African communities, that will directly address the issues that are on the hearts of the people from the African communities? Not to say they don't. These other media stations or TV stations do not, but we want the facts as they are on the ground. We want the truth to be portrayed as it is. We do not want information that has been claimed, that has been washed just to satisfy a group of a few or for political interests. We want to address issues as they are. We want to fight segregation. We want to fight oppression and all forms of racism so as to promote equity, fairness, justice for all the people of African descent. And we can only do this by having a true representation. And I believe one way we can do this is having such media platforms, is having such TV stations. But it's a pity that when you go to, for example, Canada, here where I live, we don't have such, I believe in Asia, I don't think the African descent communities have a TV there either. Like I said, we have such a big opportunity that we have to meet here on the Pan-African Daily TV so we can express our interests. And this is good. This is a good start, but we need to do more. We need to expand more. When I look at what is happening in our world today, in the education systems, the healthcare systems, the movie industries, there is a lot that goes on there when it comes to inequality, when it comes to the Black people or the Africans being treated differently from the other races. And I believe you will concur with me in these areas. We need to change the way they view people from the African descent. You see, the world knows that Africans or people from the African descent are very, very good in sports, are very good in music, talented in that area. But they also know Africa is a developed country, a developing country. Africa is a poor country. To me, I think that is misrepresentation. That is wrong information. If you ask for my opinion, I'll tell you that Africa is one of the richest, if not the richest continent that we've got. So my question to you here is, how can we increase voices? How can we reach out to more and more people of African descent that are going through things that don't have the opportunity to be, represented on media, on TV, on radio stations? How can we reach them? It pains me so much to see the young girls in the Middle East, the ones that go to work in the houses, the way they are treated. It really pains me to see that, to hear those stories. How can we stop those? Who can talk for them? We are the very people to do this work. Nobody's going to do this work for us. It starts with you. It starts with me. We have to come out and not just talk, but take concrete actions to do something that makes a tangible difference, something that we see. I cannot get tired of appreciating Pan-African Daily TV because this is something that is tangible. Now we need more of these, and we need them now. I'll tell you this. In this pandemic situation, for example, if I ask you, right, they say, we should be having, for example, factual daily statistics that are affected by COVID-19 or have died from COVID-19. Where can we get this information on a daily basis? How comes we have reports from different areas, but when it comes to our very own, these are nowhere to be seen? What is going wrong? Now, they say COVID-19 has impacted a lot of people of the African descent, but can we get a full story out of this? We need more voices to speak such issues and much more. We can help ourselves by strongly advocating for the need to have more representation. And some people might ask me, okay, how can we do this without external help or external influence? You see, Africa, or the people of African descent, rely so much on external help. And yet we have what it takes to do these things by ourselves. We have the resources. Like I said, people from Africa, like Africa is one of the richest continents here. Raw materials, resources are coming from Africa. We're just not thinking and doing much more than we are supposed to actually be doing. One way I would personally suggest how we can, broaden our social media and create more TV channels, for example, in my country where I currently live here, and of course other countries outside Canada, is, for example, starting up initiatives like the $1 project. Start up the $1 project in your communities. Mobilize, your fellow people and well-wishers to contribute towards this cause, because this is very possible. We can do this, right? Because we need a fair representation. We need to fight for the people of African descent. This has to stop. These differences have to stop. We cannot just continue talking and talking without doing anything, without taking concrete, measurable steps. This is the 21st century. I cannot understand how countries in Africa so much depend on Western help, Western influence. It's just too much. That way you can end up being compromised in almost every decision you take. You cannot think independently. You cannot take actions independently. Somebody that gives you the money always, like is going to have a big part in the share of decision making. This has been the game since colonialism. It's still the game up to now. You see the newer colonialism, the effects of this. For example, you see China is having a lot of influence in Africa. America has already influence in Africa, Europe. The interests on Africa. Why is it Africa? Like I told you, we have the resources, but we need to come out and do more. We have really educated people in Africa, right? Where the people that have done the PhDs, the doctors, people with masters, people with all these skills in Africa are they? This is the time for you to stand up. This is the time for you to talk, right? For example, here in Canada, in the African communities, for example, we still have a lot of work to do when it comes to coming together, uniting and discussing about such ideas, because it's like most of the time I have an impression everyone for their own. This is the time to borrow ideas from other societies that have established firm foundations. For example, I admire the Indian communities, the way those people coordinate and work together. While I was coming here in a taxi, the driver man that was bringing me here, he was telling me about this culture, the culture that binds them together. He said, you know what? I actually had to go back to India and get, my wife and family and, my parents, bring them here so we can keep the cultural system going. That is the spirit. What do we learn from that? There are times here when you're walking, you almost think, you're in China because, there are so many Chinese like in this area, and it's a developed area. It's you go to another area, it is an Indian-based area, and yet you're in Canada. But what happens when it comes to the people of African descent? We all scattered all over the place. It is my desire, it is my calling to you out, willing to step out of my, my comfort zone, which I've already stepped out of my comfort zone, and do the very, very best that I can to bring about change, to bring about concrete results. We want to see results. Now is not the time to just talk. No. We are so tired of people talking, people coming, promising things and not delivering. This is not the time for, that kind of, speech. We need action. We need people to come out, whether they're our, leaders in the political arena, in the religious arena. We need to see actions. Please, my sisters, my brothers from the African continent, from the diaspora, let us unite our voices together and advocate for having, to increase media channels in the places we are, so we can help those people that don't have the opportunity to be represented, those people that are being suppressed. We can end this. I don't know why people fear to talk about these things. There is a saying that if you talk, you die. If you don't talk, you still die. But it's better to talk, as long as what you're talking is the truth and what you're talking makes sense. There are so many universities, for example, in my country where I come from. People are graduating every year. So many, there's a big number of people graduating from these universities. Where are they? We need these brains. We need these resources. People are traveling, going to different countries. What are you doing there? When you get there, we need to hear you. You guys, your voices are so silent. When we do this, I'm telling you, we feel so lonely sometimes. I read the numbers from, the UN, the numbers they're representing geographically, what's in the Americas and what's all over the world. But where are these people? It is time to take action, to join these organizations that we have so well in big numbers and do something. If you want to see a changed future for your children, it starts now. It starts with you. Don't wait for your children to make that future that you so wish them to have now. Let's change that world we want to see right now. I desire for my children to see that Africa that we so desire to have, that is like, you know, Europe, America, and wherever. I desire them to have those ideas right now as I speak to you. Let's not just sit down and do nothing. These things continue. Look at the people. Yassine was here and he was talking about the legacy that the heroes, you know, the heroes of African descent have left here in Canada, for example. And of course, in Africa, look at Nelson Mandela, you know, they're still being talked about now, you know. I admire Julius Malema in South Africa. He's my hero, you know. Look at them. What can we do to carry on that legacy? Yes, we are doing something, but I think we need to come out and do more. We need like 10 Julius Malemas on the African continent. We need like 10 Nelson Mandelas in the diaspora. This is how we begin building on these ideas, by stepping out of our comfort zone. If you really love your country, if you really love your skin, if you're proud to be African or Pan-Africanist, this is the time. There is no other time. Since slavery, colonialism, and post-colonialism, we're still thinking the same way. I mean, Africa, as they say, is developing at a very, very low pace, at a snail's pace. We can do better. Africa is a rich continent. Like I told you, we have all the raw materials, all the resources. These things are generated from Africa. We are the first people on this earth, on the planet Earth. You know, we are the original people here. Everything started from Africa, if I may say. Civilization started in Egypt, if I'm getting this correctly, right? So, sisters and brothers that are watching this program tonight, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, I cannot do this alone. Dr. Suzanne cannot do this alone. Yassine cannot do this alone. And in this audience tonight, I'm privileged to say, you know, we have Senator Mobina. She will be coming on. We cannot just only have Senator Mobina. We are so much more than this. The number that is out there that can make a difference and add on to what we are doing is just so big. And of course, to mention but a few, there are so many icons that are making big differences in different countries. You know, the likes of Oprah Winfrey, Steve Harvey. I cannot exhaust all of them. There are so many. But what I'm saying, despite the fact that they've come out and done what they could do, there is still much more, because we are a big number, so big that we can still do and have a proud Africa that we want to see today and tomorrow. We can change the history that people know about us better. We can make it a history that people really want to, you know, look at and admire and be proud of us. Today, when I look at especially people, well, I'm going to say color, excuse me, because this colorism thing, it looks to be an issue. You see, some people think that the lighter you are, the more beautiful you are, the darker you are, the more ugly you are. And I feel so sad when I see young girls and boys especially trying to destroy their skins, you know, to be beautiful in courts. They are beautifully and wonderfully made, but because of this misrepresentation of information on, you know, different media channels and all that kind of stuff, their brains are kind of, you know, misled. Their thinking is misled. And, you know, I cannot say I blame them 100%. I know sometimes it's ignorance, but sometimes it's the pressure from the communities. For example, somebody goes to look for a job and they won't give you that job because of your color. I've experienced that myself. They would prefer somebody that is more probably lighter than you are, because they think the more lighter you are, that is a dominant color, the more favorable you are. That is completely nonsense. If we had more representation, more programs to educate people, to highlight people, so that they do not destroy the future that we deserve to see right now. These things and much more have to stop. They really, really have to stop. Why would somebody destroy their beautiful nature and take on another person's, you know, image just because they want to fit? No, 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 no. This has to stop. And, you know, it amazes me because some of these people are the so educated people, have been to school, you know, with high level of education and experience in the work they do, but they are not proud of their skin. They are not comfortable in their own skin. They just want to be like someone else just because they have a very low self-esteem and self-hate because of the skin they possess. How can we preach this information and change the way people think? This is it. This is what we deserve to do. Talk and reach out to as many people as we possibly can. The other thing I would conclude by saying that, oops, what happened? Sorry. I'll conclude by saying, please, let's think more on how we can collaborate together to establish, you know, such media televisions and programs. As I mentioned, a $1 fundraising system. And of course, there are so many different other ways, I believe. You know, like I said, we are a rich continent, we are a rich people, we are a rich resource. So let's stop begging and relying more on Western influence and the powers like France, German, UAE, Russia, the so developed countries. We can create that future that we want our children to enjoy now. That dream is a reality right now, and the future is now. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for giving me this opportunity to speak to you and the host, Dr. Suzanne. Thank you so much for having me on this program. I really do appreciate, and I wish you all the very best tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rita. I mean, we're so grateful and honored to have you. And you know, you still owe me a one-on-one conversation. So yes, we would take that. You're so brilliant. And particularly young women and girls in your category, we need a lot of them. You like an IT specialist and working out there for this government. It is really time we have to work for Africa, for our people. But you're doing an amazing work. I want to congratulate you. I'm so impressed. And I'm looking forward to have you again on a one-on-one on other topics that you know what we're talking about. So thank you so very much, sister. Keep up the good work out there and we stay in touch.
And thank you for having me.
Thank you too.